are doing just fine. There we go. Okay, part two of Share Success on February 5th. But hi, friends, if you are here with us live, if you want to say hello in the chat box, where you're joining from, good morning, good afternoon. Again, I know we're getting started a little bit later. We just had a little bit of a tech issue with their Zoom accounts and logging in and out and getting that squared away. And we just trust, right? But that is how life goes sometimes, are the things that come up and the things we get to roll with. But I'm here just dropping in. I'm going to join you today. I love, as you know, I often join you either the very first Wednesday or the last Wednesday of the month, sometimes extra little times too. But I love helping us get centered and get focused into intention and creation. And I'm just here today that you can utilize me in any which way of what's up for you and how I can best support you. So if you already know that you have a question or something you want some coaching with, or support with, whether growing your business or working through a limiting belief or helping you with your time management, whatever might be percolating for you, feel free to put that in the chat box and or raise your hand, and happy to have you come on. But good morning. It's so nice to be with you guys. I just love this crew. I love being connected with the doTERRA community and our specifically Natalie and Andy's team, and just how much good they do in the world. It's such a joy to be back with you. So how can I best support you today? I will say, so what I've been reading recently, and I'm just about to finish this book. Some of you may have heard about this back in December or January. I may have told you about this book, but I've been reading this book by Robin Sharma called The Wealth Money Can't Buy. And it's looking at 8 hidden habits to live your richest life, 8 categories of wealth and being wealthy in various ways. And that just brings me home to the work that all of you are doing in the world as wellness advocates, that the word wellness and the word wealth come from the same, like, if you would, language family. They're very interconnected. Is how rich am I in my own wellness? And I just invite you guys to consider that for yourself and take a pulse, take a check into that. Is how rich is my own energy? How rich is my own wellness? And that's, of course, a wide, spectrum, so to speak, where different things you might be navigating for yourself, your own energy or health, or things that you're experiencing. It might be at a like amazing feeling like, my gosh, my wellness is so dialed. I'm feeling really aligned to that. And you might also feel like, gosh, I'm really in a more challenged place or somewhere in the middle. But looking at that for yourselves, my friends, is just tuning into, again, is I invite you to take a consideration to your own wellness. And I'm going to pull up something. Give me 1 second to do that. Hi. Let's see. I'm just going to pull up something just as a visual that we can draw upon. Let me just pull up my workbook really quick and we can drop into this. Okay, so can you guys see that on the screen? Can someone in the chat box let me know if you can see that? You should be able to see a grid that says self-care at the top, self-care in the center, body, mind, heart, spirit, if you can see that. Okay, great. Thank you, guys. Hi, good morning, good morning. And Shelly, don't worry, we just got started. We had a little bit of a technological challenge, so it's not just you. But as we check in, it's a good time to do this. I mean, I invite you to do this at least once a month. You can find this grid, this worksheet on my website at tiffanyspeaks.com under the tab free resources. Again, my home site is tiffanyspeaks.com, and there's under free resources, there's a couple of different downloads for you. And this is one of them under the self-care guide of helping you just simply, let's take a pulse to, again, what we're after is your own wellness being well nourished. Again, wellness and wealth. Do you want to be wealthy? I like to sometimes write that word out in my own journaling and my own planning. Is the word wealthy spelled Wellthy, like how healthy, wealthy, right? Where's your wellness at for yourself? Is to be energy rich, again, is what we're after. Sometimes I call this your energy economy. But looking at your own wellness, just taking a pulse, if you would draw this out for me in your notes today, and then you can go download this off my website. But as looking at top left is your physicality, the body. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being really well nourished, feels really solid, really good, and 1 feels really challenged. Where would you currently rate your own physical energy, your own physicality, your own health, wellness as it relates to your physical body? Of course, we're going to look at mind, heart, and spirit next as well, but looking just at physical. And if you are here live, I know some of you are watching this back on recording, but if you are here live, would you weigh in if you feel like doing so? I'd love to hear, like, where would you rate your own current physical energy for yourself? Where is that for you? Just as an overall rating. And then the next question I invite you to consider or look at is if you're currently saying I'm a 7 or I'm a 5 or I'm a 9, what's one thing you could do that would take you to the next point up? So if you're a 4 to a 5, if you're a 7 to an 8, a 9 to a 10, ask your own intuition, what's your body needing? Some of you know I love a question, a self-care question. This one I'm about to model for you is, what do you need, sweetheart? What do you need, sweetheart, is a great self-soothing, tune-in question. Asking yourself, especially when you're feeling dysregulated, you're feeling emotional, you're feeling triggered, you're feeling like exhausted or sadness or depression, whenever you're feeling off, that's a great question to tune into as well. What do you need, sweetheart? Sometimes I like to put my hands on my heart and just ask that question. What do you need, sweetheart? Oh, yeah. But with your physical body, just looking at that for yourself, what are 1 or 2 things that you want to do more of differently, maybe even less of, but to help support your physical energy? Maybe it's recommitting to or up leveling your movement. You're going to get moving more regularly or commit to, 3 or 4 workouts in a week. Maybe it's your hydration or your sleep, your nutrition or your supplementation, right? Within body, you have 4 subcategories. If you want to write these down, you have sleep, movement, hydration, nutrition. We could add a 5th category, supplementation too, right? Like, am I taking my products? Am I, in alignment with my protein goals and my protein powder? Am I taking the, my omegas, and am I doing the things that help me feel more nourished in that way? Okay, so this is physicality, top left, taking a pulse to that for yourself, thinking about being more intentional this week, this month. What do you want to see more of for yourself with your own physicality, with your own energy? And then moving over to top right is mind or mindset. And this is like, how well nourished is your mindset? Are you actively reading or listening, reading or listening to Audible or podcasts? Are you consuming content that nourishes your brain with possibility, with learning new skills, with feeling more hopeful? Are you committed to your meditation practice or your gratitude journaling? Or other ways, maybe your breath work, right? Which is a combination of body, mind, heart, and spirit. But are you doing certain things that help nourish your mind? And where would you rate your mindset currently? How well nourished is your mindset? Where would you rate that? And then similar, asking yourself, what am I feeling drawn to, or what would help nourish my mind or my mindset more intentionally? What are you feeling drawn to? I'm also a big believer, as you may know, if we've spent any kind of time together. For some of you, this might be our first meeting, but for most of you, we've hung out at some level before here in the Share Success community or other coaching programs of mine. But you've probably heard me talk a lot about a morning ritual, starting your day with intention, with reading or listening or prayer, meditation, or getting in a workout, but starting your day with something that's nourishing. That's one of the best ways to set your mind up to succeed. Friends, one of my favorite things here about mind and mindset is just being aware. I love this quote. I want you to write this quote down for me in your notes. And that quote being, your input shapes your outlook. And then I would say shapes your outcomes, right? But the power of your mindset and the power of what are you consuming, your input, what you're focusing on, what you're feeding your brain. Your brain, like your body, does so much more for you if it's fed positive and nourishing things, right? Versus just consuming, scrolling, taking in too much news or anxiety or different things like that, is being intentional with your mindset and to treat it like a muscle that, just like the body, is like, what am I feeding it? Again, my input shapes my outlook, or your input shapes your outlook. Is being mindful about, what am I consuming? What am I focusing on? Am I intentional about those things? And if not, I'm going to choose to be beginning right now. How powerful that is for you, for all of us, right? Is what we think about, we bring about. What we're focusing on, we see more of. And to be intentional, to say, I'm going to intentionally feed my mind, feed my brain with positive, with nourishing. I'm going to choose to follow positive and nourishing accounts on social media, maybe unfollow some more of the negative stuff, right? Those types of things. And just being more aware of that, like the conversations that we're having, the things we're reading and listening to, our meditation practices, our breath work, our gratitude journaling or regular journaling. These are all powerful ways that we support our mind, right? Is I love for us to give our mind focus. And when we connect our heart and our spirit to our mind, wow, that's even more powerful. And letting our soul, if you will, or our spirit lead where our mind goes and giving it direction. But we all practice this, okay? Because just understanding your brain, your literal brain, is wired for safety, right? It's wired, then, therefore, it's like regularly your brain is not wired to appreciate and focus on the positive. Your brain is wired to problem solve, to be standing like a guard at the gate and making sure everything's safe. And, again, and that's why sometimes when we're working on change and we're creating and seeing more positive change, this is why sometimes you feel nervous with positive change. And you're like, why would I be nervous about positive change? Why would I be nervous to rank advance in doTERRA? Well, or why would I be nervous to make more money or to have more things grow and speed up and change for me in the positive in my life, my business, my sales, my income? Because simply it's moving out of what's familiar. Does that make sense? It's like, oh, if it's not familiar, and if what's familiar is this comfort level zone, right? This level of income, this level of attention, this level of progress, and then we start expanding that. Ooh, a great mindset book on that very topic. You've probably read it or at least heard of it before here, which is called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. How many of you have read that book or at least heard of it? Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but how powerful. That's one of my very favorite recommendations to help you when especially you're conditioning yourself to receive more, that you want new to come into your life. See, a lot of times we think, gosh, I set the goals, I make the vision board, I do these things, but it's, do I have the capacity? Is my vessel strengthened in a way that I allow myself to receive it? That way I don't reject it, repel it, these types of things. A lot of that, again, is helping our mind connected to our body, of course, and our nervous system is, does this feel safe for me? Is it okay to receive? Is it okay to have more? And consciously, you'd say, well, of course it is. But again, a lot of it is subconscious. And so again, the more that we feed our brain the positive, we practice affirmations, we're into our gratitude journaling, we're into those statements, we're into visualization, we're into calming our bodies and helping us feel calm and safe, secure, that receiving more, even if it's quote unfamiliar, is absolutely okay and welcome, right? We talked about this, I think, in January when I joined you in January. I think we were talking about this, is to rewire, rather than saying something is hard when we're trying something new, is we just say, this is unfamiliar to me currently. It's becoming more familiar, that we're practicing. Yeah, so powerful. Yeah, so again, so we're looking at body. Where's my wellness? Where's my wealth? How energy rich is my physicality? Am I moving my body regularly? Am I hydrated? Am I, in my nutrition, my supplementation? Am I prioritizing my sleep? Am I in those types of habits? Then looking over again at mindset is like, how rich is my mindset? Right? How rich and well nourished is my mindset? Am I reading and listening and practicing and doing things that help my mind grow, expand, and be well nourished? So powerful. Okay, let's come back to that sheet just really quick, this grid. Then bottom left is heart and joy. And in essence, I just am curious for you to rate yourself again on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 feels really solid, well nourished. 1 feels pretty challenged. Where would you rate yourself on how happy are you? Where's your own happiness level at? How happy or content? How much joy are you feeling right now? Or would you rate that for yourself? And then ask yourself, same as we've done in the other quadrants, ask yourself, what's 1 or 2 things I can do that will help nourish that joy? So if you're currently saying, I'm feeling like a 4, what would take it to a 5? If I'm feeling like I'm a 7, what would take it to an 8? Wherever you're at, what helps bring you joy? And one of my favorite joy exercises, if you haven't done this in a while or you've never done it, I invite you to go to a blank sheet of paper, draw a line right down the middle, and top left, you can write a $sign. Top right is free. And ideally, we start working towards 12 things that cost money, 12 things that don't, but various things that bring in, oh boy. Okay, I don't know how that's happening on our, yeah. You guys, we're just gonna handle that. Not sure how that someone gets involved. Okay. Okay, well, could you guys not see? Oh, it was just to host and panelists. We had someone join in that was saying all kinds of expletives and hate speech, but that was just coming to me. So, hey, so you guys didn't see that. Sorry. So sorry for the pause. We just had to remove someone off of our Zoom. Okay, so looking at this for joy list, again, costs money or free, but what are the things that light you up, that fill your cup? What are the things that bring you joy? From small things to big things, like the cost money side, right? It might be playing a round of golf or getting a manicure, a pedicure, a massage, eating out at a favorite restaurant, right? Or some of the things that are free might be, again, going for a walk, or those things that are, it's like, hey, I'm going to spend time having a cup of tea, or maybe making some crafts, or snuggling my pets. Yes, or holding your nephew. I love that. So beautiful. And so it's just these things. Again, what fills your own cup? What fills your cup, my friends? So it's just one of those things, is to be an intentional creator. And we want to fill up your own cup. So again, where would you rate this for yourself when we look at heart? Where's your own joy? Where's your own heart in terms of your joy, your happiness? How happy are you? It's one of the most magnetic things you guys can do for yourself personally, and your life, your relationships, also your business, your sales, growing your doTERRA team, is literally investing in your joy. It's like, how happy are you? Because again, everything is energy, everything. And the power of the happier you are, and again, no one's perfectly happy all the time. So take off that pressure. But just like nourishing our bodies with a good meal is like nourishing our minds, and then nourishing our hearts. And then finally, quadrant 4, bottom right, is spirit. Bottom right, spirit is how well nourished is your spirit or spirituality, and whatever that means to you. Right? Is that's different things to different people, but how connected you might feel to your higher power, your higher purpose, right? In terms of feeling like, gosh, I feel well connected there. There might be certain activities that you do, but how nourished would you feel? And again, scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate that for yourself? And just dropping into that. And then asking what's 1 or 2 things that will help me nourish my spirit or spirituality. Helping that for yourself. And again, sometimes for me, that's a combination of, it's interesting, is for me, spirit can feel both like I need some more quiet time, right? Like just quiet, peace, no technology, not all this noise, just time to reflect, right? That might be a meditation or prayer time or reading or journaling, something like that. Then sometimes spirit, for my spirit to feel more nourished, comes in connections, right? And serving other people is I really think having a full, rich life is both you're well nourished for you, and then we're actively engaged in connecting, serving, loving, and sharing life with other people, right? So it's thinking about having both of those active in your life. And sometimes I need more quiet time and more time by myself to really nourish myself and nourish my spirit, is like just time for me and spirit to be in communion. And then there's times where it's like, no, I want to be out. I want to be at the food bank or out with friends or family or with neighbors or, with your congregation or worship or things like that, where you're like, okay, there's opportunities where I'm also in service. And so nourishing that. But I just wanted to drop in there first and help bring that back into your thoughts. I know it's not necessarily new, but it is taking a pulse, is again, how energy rich. So some of you that just joined a little bit later, I've been reading from this book. It's a little bit of it's a biggie, right? Robin Sharma, someone gifted me this book last year and I started reading it late November, early December. And the subtitle is The 8 Hidden Habits to Living Your Richest Life. And so it looks at 8 categories of wealth, and money is one of the 8, right? But looking at having a wealthy life, and again, I like to write that out, wealthy, Wellthy, wealthy, because being well, your wellness is a form of wealth, literally, right? And having that energy where it's like, yeah, my energy is rich and I'm showing up in a more vibrant, radiant way that will help you be more magnetic, right? Power of doing that, how rich you are. I also this was top of mind for me, something I've been diffusing lately myself. I've been diffusing this a lot the last week, I would say, is green mandarin. Anyone else love little green mandarin? I'm a big fan of this. And I'm often adding, when I'm diffusing this, I'm adding wild orange. And if you know me, that's not a surprise because there's often wild orange or citrus bliss in many of my blends, just because I love the vibration and the energy of wild orange. Well, green mandarin in the Essential Emotions book is all about pure potential, right? And thinking about potential and possibility. That's what I feel like with this oil as well. Sometimes I'm also adding a little lemon, right, within that orange. So it's a high citrus blend and just so happy. But anyway, just wanted to share that with you as well as I'm thinking about at times as I'm reading, as I've been decluttering, right? What you've been thinking about. I shared this with my own Thrive community. Thrive is my membership community month to month where we do workshops and coaching and so forth. And I was sharing with them something I read the first of the year was, even if you pick a word for the year, how many of you picked a word for 2025 or a word or theme picked you? And if you want to share it, I'd love to hear it. But whether you pick a word or you don't pick a word, I read this somewhere online that was talking about picking a theme every single month, picking a theme of like, what's the intentionality of this month in your life? And I really love that, where it's like, oh, the theme. Well, y'all, I picked the theme for January was all about order and organization and preparation. And I definitely made progress with that. Well, there were times I did about 8 to 10 bags and boxes that got donated to Goodwill. And just like decluttering, right, in that vibe. Well, often I was putting this green mandarin as well as orange and citrus, sometimes a little geranium in there too, a little frankincense. I mean, we're just mixing it up over here, right? Just like you. I love to just mix different things and try different things, but things that emotionally support that. I also think you have lemon or lemon eucalyptus. That's a really great oil for, again, cleansing, releasing. Lemon is great for that, OG lemon. But thinking about that for yourself is if you haven't yet thought about for February, what's your theme for this month? What do you want to focus on? What's your intention that you want to experience more of or create for this month? And being more just again, I love the word intention or intentionality. It's like living that more intentional life. And I think when I think about, I love using my oils to diffuse them, especially to help me support me in my space as I'm in those types of creation moods or modes, right? Like what you're focused on. Yes, so powerful. Okay, Tamara's also saying green mandarin, I know, is also anti-electric filled when the body gets electrified from the Wi-Fi. It's like if you're trying to have a little more shielding. Powerful. Yep. And Sue, Sue, we're on the same page. She says, yes, green mandarin. I just finished a bottle last night and opened a new one. That's in your vibe. And I'm loving seeing some of your words, you guys, for the year. Grow and persevere, connection, alignment, growth. Yeah, beautiful. While we're here, is there anything I can support you with? Anything at all? My expertise, I help many folks grow and double their income and expand their business. My background heavily is in sales, and then we've expanded all of this other fun stuff over the years and more of my own personal development and growth, but I love to help support you. I have people that help support me, and I love to help support others, right? To help them as they're growing and working through. But what's coming up for you? All right, Sophia Gomez, you've raised your hand. Do you want to come on live? We also have a Q&A from Anonymous, but Sophia, do you want to come on live? You had your hand raised. Let me see if you can say yes or no in the chat box. I can see about promoting you. Okay, let's do that. Okay, where's your name, sweetheart? Okay, there you are. Okay, you should be unmuted if you want to share.
Yes. Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. Wait, I don't know how to put the camera on. Wait, 1 second.
Okay, I just promoted you to panelist, so you should be able to, there you go. You should be able to come on camera. Just click video, I think, it in your bottom.
Yes, now I have it.
Okay.
Wait, there it is.
Okay,
Hey,
hi.
how are you?
Hello, where are you joining us from?
From Boulder. I'm from Chile, but I moved to Boulder in July.
Okay, well, welcome. So happy to have you.
Thank you, thank you. Um, eh, I would like to some help on like time management. I know, because whenever I see the self-care, of course, I think body and mind, I think I have it well. But then when I think about heart and spirit, I think it's low. But then whenever I think about time management to do all, it's like I'm struggling. So that's why I said time management first. But then, of course, you always have to be first, like at the beginning, you know?
Yeah. So with time management, where do you feel like you struggle the most with? Like what's getting in your way from being more productive or focused or effective with time?
Um, it's always like, I think I'm always saying I don't have enough time. So I don't organize myself that well. And then when I have time, I find myself like procrastinating. So it's kind of like,
Hmm. Hmm.
like auto-sabotage.
Yeah. Well, and some of that, because it is interconnected, right? Is sometimes it's like, hey, if I have a really clear vision in front of me, I'm much more effective with my time. Anyone else relate to that? And if my vision has gotten kind of stale, or it's just I'm kind of just doing the day to day and I haven't visited my vision, it's not fresh, it's not inspiring, then it's easy to let myself just get kind of lost in details and the weeds and or time wasting type behaviors. And so one is partly is like visiting your own vision is how vibrant is that? Where am I going? What do I want? Why do I want it? What am I going to create? Who do I want to be? What does that look like and feel like? When I'm in my alignment with my favorite self, we sometimes call that your future self, your higher self, but that part of you, love, that is, oh my gosh, she's such a vibrant leader. She's such a vibrant influence for others when she's dialed into that, right? And leading from that. So sometimes it's a combination of vision. The other part of it, though, I want to speak to two key things that I feel help me the most with time. And I'm a big fan of a book called Essentialism. And Natalie and Andy actually introduced that to me many years ago. Some of you have also read it. Have you read Essentialism, Greg McKeown, or listened to that book? But it really is powerful of how to help yourself get really focused into essentials versus the non-essentials. And so part of that is thinking about is really being clear on what my core essentials are and making decisions. What are my top key priorities? What am I all in for this season of my life? That's a question I really like to ask is what am I all, rather than what do I have to give up in my schedule or my behaviors, what am I all in for this season of my life? And that's similar back to the visioning and the clarity that really helps support me. But making some of those decisions, well, another key piece to that for me is then what I like to call time blocking. Is when are you naturally, Sophia, the most productive? When do you naturally have the most energy?
Like in the morning.
Okay, like what time? From what time to what time?
I would say whenever my kids at school, so from 8:30 to 12:30.
Okay. So then we're going to call this your golden hour or golden hours. This is your treasure, and this means your highest performing or what we might call revenue producing activities, RPAs, or your highest productive activities happen in this time block. So if I'm you growing a doTERRA business, this is when I'm contacting people. This is when I'm mentoring people. This is not when I'm doing the laundry or the dishes or other little tasks that don't require my best top shelf energy. So all of you, I want you to get clear on where is your window. And it's estimated, you guys, that we have about 4 hours of actual real rich productive time in our day. We're doing other activities, but where you really are dialed and you're focused. And so I'd get really clear what that is for you. And for some of you, it's mornings. For some of you, it's not. Right? Is that for me, I really like a slow morning. And for me, and again, if I had young kids and things like that, life that would might shape that a little differently for me. But if for me, I like to kind of ease into my morning with some good reading and prayer, do a workout, eat a good breakfast, then get showered and cleaned up, and then move into creation time for me.
Right. Like for me, what's been the challenge is that I also want to do, I don't know, do yoga, for example. So then it's like in the time that my son goes to school, it's like, okay, do I do yoga or do I have an hour of prospecting? And it's like, okay, for my mind, I need to do yoga because if not, I'm not gonna have a good hour prospecting.
Right.
But it's like I'm always thinking like, oh, I'm like I should be doing something different, but I
Mhm.
want to do something else.
Well, and I think I would honor that. And because again, I think that's a great, and that's an activity. Like there's certain activities that we invest in that give us energy. And there's certain things we do that just deplete our energy. Or once the time is gone, the energy's there. But I would say yoga or working out is going to give you energy. I just would be more intentional that, like, for instance, if I'm you, kids go to school at what, 8:30?
hmm
And then maybe 8:30, and if you're dropping them off, you might get, do you have to take them to school? Like I want to get laser focused on this.
Sometimes I do, sometimes my husband takes them. So when I do, I will go directly from school to yoga.
Okay. So it's just having that in our schedule because sometimes what happens is we drop the kids at school and then I'm going to check Instagram real quick.
And that's never real quick.
Do you all just hear what she said? Say it one more time. What? Say it again for those in the back.
Checking Instagram is never real quick.
Never real quick. It's one of the biggest lies. So the other piece of like time, because what we're really after is productivity. Because if you have 2 or 3 hours that are really productive, don't you feel so good?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's not, we don't need 8 hours a day or even 12 hours a day or whatever the case might be that's on and on and on and producing, because that's just not real. But the challenge is we have to also manage or eliminate our distractions. And so for me, my cell phone, if I'm not mindful, can be a huge distraction. Can it be for you too?
Yes.
Yes. So I want a leash on that baby. And it's like, and once I put what Stephen Covey would say, your big rocks in the jar first. Stephen Covey was the author of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he would teach this image in his college classrooms where he would have one big jar and then these buckets of items, some big rocks, some pebbles, and then sand. And he would say, he would give this example so you could see this like visual that unless the big rocks go in the jar first, much of our life gets whittled away in just these smaller, less meaningful priorities. The busyness, the loudest, the brightest, shiniest objects. Anyone else relate to this? And so if I'm you, kids at school, yoga, then I'm prospecting and calling, and I'm only using my phone for calling, texting, following up, nourishing. If I'm using social as a way that I'm connecting with people, then yes, I might use my social, but I want to be mindful of that social because it's an easy, sticky trap sometimes that I go on there intentionally to post and or interact, follow up, connect, and so forth. I don't want to make it's Instagram or your cell phone is not wrong. It's just that if we're not mindful, the just real quick, I'm going to check my email or my social media just real quick, we get lost there. So again, a couple of things that will help support you is clear, big vision. What am I all in for? Because that will then inform more so my behaviors, my actions. Secondly, is I want a time block. Where are my most productive time hours? And then I want to crank at the same time. So like, for instance, if I'm contacting and following up with people, I'm nourishing relationships, I might do that for an hour, but I want to get in and stay in that for an hour versus like make a call here and then do this and check that and load the dishes and then try to do this and that, and it just gets spliced and diced versus no, right now I'm creating, like the other day, I took about 2 hours and just created 8 pieces of content that then we will use over the next few weeks. But I got into content creation mode for a time block. If I'm in follow-up mode, if I'm in contacting mode, right? If I'm in declutter and organizing mode, a personal goal, I want to get in that vibe and stay in that vibe for a little while. So it's powerful when we practice that, right? And then we practice this, love, is giving yourself some grace rather than like, oh, I've got to get this perfect and I'm messing this up, is no one does quote time management perfectly, but we can be more intentional about, again, how we're prioritizing our time and what's in our schedule and in our days and what distractions and how we're navigating those distractions.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anything else you want to add to that?
Um, well, I've been doing the miracle morning. So I've been waking up earlier, as you mentioned before, and it's been like a really game changer. Like I even finished 2 books and that I had like for a long while, and it's like I would say if you can try it, always do it. It's a good shift in how you start your day.
Amen to that. She's just preaching truth to you guys this morning, right? Is starting your day like, hey, I'm going to start my day with something that nourishes me and how that helps me show up, be more intentional with my kids and then with my business. One of the things that I just think is so valuable to do is to get clear on what we might say MVPs, most valuable priorities. What are the activities that are going to have that are nourishing, that are, absolute, they make deposits, you reading and investing in your brain, going to yoga, contacting other people, creating content, hosting classes or things that help nourish other people. These are all really rich MVPs, right? Most valuable priorities. And so it's not to say the other stuff of life, because we do have to do the laundry, and the dishes. And we are going to check our phones. And that's a way we connect with other people. And we want to be plugged in. It's just being aware, like what are the big rocks, so to speak, or the bigger things that if you're investing in you, awesome. Those are great activities. Are you investing in others or in your business? Yes, those are other great activities that will help support you. I think you're doing better than you may give yourself credit for, but it may be more intentional. Like I get intentional about where's my time window, and I'm going to really like protect that. Where's my golden, like when I'm highest energy, it's just like an Olympic athlete. When they're on, and then they're in recovery. And it's like, if this is my time to be on, I'm going to really be on and really intentional about what's in that time block. And then I'm going to do the other things, right? That are part of life that we do need to do. But in terms of, are these things actively nourishing me, nourishing others? Are they making deposits in myself, in my business, in my future?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're so welcome. Thank you. Okay, so, and I forget how to, there we go, 1 second. Okay, there we go. All right, we had one other Q&A in the Q&A box, anonymous, that says, what can help move the needle on a self-sabotage level of self-care? Meaning referencing the big leap of Gay Hendricks. I keep not doing the things, and I think it's because this is my comfort zone and I can't figure out how to break through. Is there a way to make what the thing is that you're working on, how to make it smaller? Is my first like intuitive ask on that. Is like sometimes when we're like, oh, I want to, like, let's say for instance, you were mentioning self-care and you're saying, I want to be healthier and I want to move my body, for instance, more regularly, but that's just not my habit right now. But what if you made it, instead of it had to be an entire workout, like I got to work out every day, and that's for you maybe a full hour or 90 minutes even, right? Like who knows? What if we just said, I get moving at least 10 minutes every day, 10 or 15 minutes every day. And what if we made it smaller, right? The power of that. And we go, okay, what if, I could make that more easy to do? And that we just, rather than maybe sometimes, because when people aren't following through sometimes on their self-care goals, one of the reasons is that it feels pie in the sky and they're going from maybe not working out at all to I'm going to do this every day now. And that's kind of going from 0 to 100 or 0 to trying to be perfect at it versus I want you all focusing on progress with it. And the other thing too, so that's the first line, is how do I make it maybe smaller, right? That you might say, hey, just like Sophia was modeling as a morning ritual, and maybe that's 10 minutes of reading in the morning. It may not be a full hour of doing nourishing type activities for your morning ritual, but it's dropping you into that. That's something to consider, is how do I make it smaller, where it's doable, where I'm focused on progress, not getting it perfect. The other thing is just simply reaffirming to yourself is I'm worth investing in. I'm worth the time. I'm worth, feeling good. And something like that might really support you. Yeah, I love Oilers with a Mission. I'm not sure who that is, your first name, love, but that's how you show up on the Zoom. Says, I found a walking challenge that's really helped my movement, easy to do in the time windows that I have. And walking for me also around 2020, 2021, when my gym closed during all of that, stuff that was happening and going on, I just got out and walked a lot more. And now I love it. And it's a regular part of my every week, multiple times a week, getting out on walks. But it's like sometimes I got out for 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and it's like sometimes they're much longer than that. But having that movement and just that permission that it was like, oh, okay, I'm getting some movement in. Making progress really makes a difference, I think. So, keep looking at that, massaging that, and again, giving yourself permission and making it the thing is like, what would be fun for you? Right? Making it where it feels like fun and joy, where some people, and where this might also be an element coming up for you or any one of you, is when we make our self-care another should list, like one more thing I should do and I'm not doing, versus, wow, this is joyful, this is fun, this is nourishing for me, is be mindful if it's turned into a should and come back to I'm worth investing in, and the joy of that. Friends, such a joy to be with you. I always love spending time in this community and connecting with you. And I'm just wishing you a beautiful February. If I can serve or support you additionally, feel free to reach out. And I'll see you guys in a future session. But such a joy again to be with you, cheering you on in your wellness and your wealth, right? Invest in your own wellness. Be wealthy, be energy rich, right? I love it. Be energy rich. It'll help everything else in your life. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll see you guys soon.